So you want to own the Prancing Pony, the warm, crowded inn at Bree, where hobbits sing and the ale never stops. Here is the first thing Barliman Butterbur, the man who actually runs it, has never once worked out. The ale is not the business. The beds are not the business. The cheerful little folk filling his common room every night are close to worthless to you. The Prancing Pony makes its money from something Butterbur can barely see, something that has nothing to do with beer and everything to do with the mud outside his door. You are not buying an inn. You are buying a choke point, and the man selling it to you has no idea what it is worth.
Here is how we are going to do this. What the pony costs to build and run, where the coin truly comes from, and what a roadside inn at the one crossroads in the north is actually worth. Middle-earth keeps no ledgers, and Tolkien rarely quotes a price, so we do the honest thing. We take the real, recorded numbers of a medieval coaching inn on the great roads of England, and we lay them over Bree. And we price it in the coin Bree actually uses. In the book, Butterbur deals in silver pennies and gold pieces, so those are our units. 12 pennies make a shilling, 20 shillings a pound, so a pound is 240 silver pennies. Hold that number, everything else hangs off it.
Bree is not a big place, and that is the entire point. It is a small town of men and hobbits, tucked against a hill, and it sits where the two great roads of the north cross. The Great East Road runs from the Shire in the west to Rivendell and the mountains in the east. The Old Greenway runs north to south. They meet at exactly one town, and there is no other for 100 miles in any direction. If you are travelling across the top half of Middle-earth, on foot, on horse, or with a loaded cart, your road goes through Bree, not near it, through it. A town like that does not need to be large to be rich. It needs to be unavoidable, and Bree is the only unavoidable place for days of hard road around.
And in that town there is one real inn, the Prancing Pony. Not the biggest building, not the grandest, but the only proper stopping house at the only crossroads that matters. Butterbur will tell you it has stood for generations, that it is famous from the Shire to beyond the Greenway, that even the rangers and the dwarves stop there. He says all this as a proud innkeeper. He does not hear what he is describing, which is a local monopoly on the single most valuable thing in the north. A safe, warm, known place to stop, at the one point every traveller must pass. He thinks he is bragging about his beer. He is describing a toll booth with a roof.
So what does it cost to raise a house like this? A real great coaching inn of this size, 3 stories, dozens of rooms, a wing built specially with low round doors for hobbit guests, was no cottage. A famous English example, the Angel, cost about £400 to build. The carpentry contract alone was £90. £400 is 96,000 silver pennies. Put that in wages and it is staggering. A skilled carpenter earned about 5 pennies a day, so the pony is something like 19,000 days of skilled work. This is not a pub someone threw up over a weekend. It is a small fortune in timber and stone, and that is before you have poured a single pint.
And building it is the cheap part. Keeping it open is the real bill. A house this size burns firewood by the cartload through the cold months. Rethatching and repairs eat away every year, and the kitchen takes in bread, meat, and ale every day, whether guests come or not. Candles alone, in a house lit every night, are a real line on the slate. But the biggest invisible engine is out the back, in the yard, where the beer drinkers never look. Stables. That is where the real money is made, and it does not drink ale. It eats hay by the ton, and it pays for the privilege. Most people picture the fire and the songs.
The accountant pictures the stable.
Because the stable is not a side shed, it is the actual business. A roadside inn is a service station for horses that happens to feed the humans attached to them. Stalls, feed, water, a stable hand, a hostler who knows animals. And here is the fact that breaks the cosy picture, straight from real inn records where they wrote the prices down. A traveller paid about 1 penny for his own bed for the night. To stable and feed his horse, he paid nearer 5. The horse cost 5 times what the man did. Read that again. The animal was the paying customer. The rider was just the thing that came with it.
Now, the revenue you think you are buying. Ale and beds. The common room is packed every night. Bree folk and shire hobbits crowding the benches, Butterbur's famous beer going down by the barrel at roughly 1 penny a quart. It looks like a roaring trade because it is loud and warm and full. It is also, in cold accounting, the worst part of your business. A local hobbit walks in from Staddle, nurses 2 pints over 3 hours, buys no room, stables no horse, and walks home, having paid you perhaps 2 pennies all evening while burning your fire, your candles, and your staff. The common room is not your profit, it is your loss leader. It very nearly pays for itself, and no more.
The prophet walks in on 4 legs and leaves at dawn. Your real customer is the merchant with a cart of goods, 3 horses, 2 guards, and a schedule. He needs stabling and feed for every animal, a locked private room, a hot supper he will not haggle over, and he needs it tonight, because the next safe inn is days away, and the road between is death after dark. He is not price sensitive. He is time sensitive and fear sensitive, the 2 best customers any business can have. That one party, 3 horses stabled at 5 pennies each, 3 rooms, hot food and storage, can pay you more in a single night than 40 singing hobbits. One of those is a hobby, the other is the business.
So if it is not the ale, and it is more than the stable, what is the deepest source of value? Location. Not as a vague virtue, but as a hard economic wall. One real inn at the one crossroads every northern traveller must use, with no competitor. A merchant coming through Bree does not compare prices between 3 inns. There are not 3 inns. There is the pony, or there is a ditch outside the gate with wolves on the road. That is not a market. It is a monopoly on shelter at a place people cannot avoid. And a monopoly means you set the price. Butterbur could add a penny or 2 to every bed and every stall and lose not one guest, because his real competition is not another innkeeper. It is the cold, dark, dangerous road, and the road makes a terrible host.
And here is where you, a new owner who can count, change everything without adding a single room. Butterbur has monopoly pricing power and does not use it. He charges the fearful, wealthy, time-pressed merchant almost the same as the local hobbit nursing a pint. That is money left on the table every single night. A traveller who has ridden all day with goods to guard and a deadline to keep will pay 2, 3, 4 times the going rate for a locked room and a safe stable, because the alternative is the ditch. Butterbur never asks it, because it never occurs to him that he holds the only door. You would. The building would not change. Only the person reading the ledger would.
And there is an asset Butterbur owns without noticing, worth more than ale and stable combined: information. Everyone passing through the north stops at the pony, which makes it the one place that sees everyone: who came through, who they rode with, which way they went, what they carried, who was asking after them. Butterbur calls this idle gossip, but watch who sits in his common room: a ranger named Strider in the corner, saying nothing, watching every face at the door; a wizard who leaves a letter there, trusting it to reach the right hands;
The most powerful people in the north use the pony not for the beer, but because it is the information exchange of the entire region, and its owner hands that away for nothing.
There is a second thing crossing his counter that he treats as a nuisance, and shouldn't: foreign coin. Bree sits between worlds, so the money on his bar comes from all of them. Silver pennies from the Shire and Bree, gold pieces from wealthier travellers, and from the far south, the coin of Gondor, where the currency is the silver castar, quartered into a smaller coin called the thani, dwarf gold from the mountains, weighed by the pinch. Every one has a different weight and worth, and someone must judge one against another to take payment at all. Butterbur does it by instinct, for free. A sharper owner sees a money changer's desk at the one crossroads where every currency in the north must pass. On a busy road, judging coin is not a chore. It is a second business, hiding inside the first.
And it keeps stacking. Storage. A merchant who does not want to haul everything pays to leave goods safe in your back room. Horses sold or hired to travellers whose own mounts are spent, the way Bill the pony is bought in Bree for the road east. Messages and parcels carried on with the next traveller heading the right way, a postal service running on the flow of people. Local trade too, the farmers of Staddle, Coombe and Archet selling produce to the one house that feeds strangers every night. None of these are the ale. All of them ride on the same single fact. Everyone must pass through Bree, and everyone must stop at the pony.
Staff, and a house like this runs on more hands than you would guess. Butterbur at the top, forgetting everything. Nob and Bob, his servants, doing the actual work, waiting tables, hauling barrels, and running the stable, which is the business. Cooks for a kitchen that never closes, a hostler for the horses, hands for beds and fires. Wages are steady and unglamorous, but here is the quiet efficiency. The same staff who serve the near-worthless drinkers also serve the high-value travellers. You pay for the labour once and sell it twice. The singing hobbits are not really costing you much. They are being served in the gaps between the paying work.
Now, the thing that quietly rules every roadside inn, the seasons. Your income is not smooth. In the warm months, the East Road is busy, and the pony can fill every bed and stall, night after night. In deep winter, the road freezes, the traffic thins to almost nothing, and you heat a great empty house for a handful of locals. But your costs barely move. Staff still need paying, the building still needs warming, the horses still eat whether the stalls are full or bare. You make your real money in a few good months and carry the rest of the year on it. Spend the summer's profit before the winter, and one hard season ends you.
Stock, spoilage and the things that go wrong. An inn holds real perishable stock. Ale that sours, bread that stales, meat that spoils, hay that rots or burns. You guess every day how many strangers will arrive, and both guesses cost you. Too little you turn away paying travellers, too much it rots in the cellar. Then theft and trouble, a house full of strangers, some armed, some lying about who they are. A man like Bill Ferny, happy to sell word of your guests to the wrong people, or open a gate at night for coin. Your inn is only worth what it is safe, and safety is the exact thing your customers are paying for. The night the pony stops being safe is the night it is worth nothing.
Now the costs nobody puts on the slate. The first is the road itself. Your whole business depends on people using the East Road, which depends on it being safe, which depends entirely on something you neither pay for nor control. The rangers guard the north, unpaid and unthanked, and they are the reason travellers still come. If they ever stopped, so would your trade, and you would never know who to thank for the years they kept you rich. The second cost you cannot price at all. When black riders come to Bree hunting hobbits, your inn becomes the most dangerous building in the north. The very thing that makes you money, being where everyone stops, puts you in the path of whatever is hunting them.
So, why can no one open a second inn across the road and split your trade? Because the value was never the building. Anyone can raise a house with beds. What they cannot manufacture is the thing that took the pony generations to earn, being the known inn, the one every traveller has heard of before arriving, the one Gandalf names to Frodo, the one a merchant 300 miles away already plans to reach. A new inn at Bree would be a building full of empty beds, while everyone walks past it to the place they trust. In a world with no signs and a deadly road, reputation is the whole business, and reputation is the one thing a rival cannot build overnight. Butterbur inherited a name, and that name is his real fortune.
So, how do you lose the Prancing Pony? 3 ways. 1. The road dies. War, bandits, a bridge down, the ranger's gone, and the traffic that is your whole income simply stops. An inn on a road nobody travels is a very large house you cannot heat. 2. Your name is ruined. 1 robbery, 1 traveller murdered under your roof, 1 season known as unsafe, and the reputation of generations is gone in a month. And 3. The one that actually comes to Bree. Fear arrives on the road. When the black riders pass through, trade does not politely decline. Doors bar, travellers vanish, and the crossroads that made you rich becomes the crossroads everyone avoids. Your greatest asset and your greatest danger are the same location.
Let us run one ordinary night so the shape is clear. The common room is full, 20 locals drinking and singing, paying perhaps 2 pennies each all evening. Call it 40 pennies for the whole loud, cheerful crowd, and nearly all of it goes straight back out in ale, firewood, and wages. Now, quietly, the same night. 2 merchants, 1 cart, 6 horses, 3 private rooms, feed and stabling for every animal, hot suppers, goods stored safe. 6 horses at 5 pennies is 30 before a single bed is counted. Add rooms, food and storage, and that one party clears well past 100 pennies. A single cart of strangers, whom no song will mention, outpays the entire common room several times over. The noise is downstairs, the profit is in the yard.
Right. Let us value the whole thing honestly. A great coaching inn, run well, returned something like £80 to £90 of profit in a strong year. But that profit is not evenly made, and the split is the whole lesson. The drink barely breaks even. The rooms turn a modest profit. The stable and feed are where the real margin lives. And the monopoly at the crossroads lets you charge for all of it without ever being undercut. Strip the pony down, and it is not a beer hall with rooms. It is a stable and a choke point, wearing a beer hall as a disguise. It is rich for exactly one reason: where it stands.
So what is it worth in your money? Take a great coaching inn, clearing roughly £80 a year. In an age when a skilled man earned 5 pennies a day, £80 is around 10,000 days of skilled wages every single year. That is not a mountain of gold. It is something better for its size, a solid, defensible, cash-generating property, the medieval equivalent of a well-placed roadside hotel with the only fuel stop for miles. The beer, the part everyone remembers, contributes almost none of that. The stable and the location contribute nearly all of it. You are not buying the warmest room in Bree. You are buying the only road stop in the north.
So, would you buy the Prancing Pony? Yes, without hesitation, but not for the reason Butterbur would sell it to you. He would price it on its famous beer and its full common room, the loud, cheap, lovable part. You would be buying the quiet part, the stable, the storage, the road, and above all the location no rival can ever copy. Pay for the ale and you have overpaid for a pub. Pay for the crossroads and you have bought one of the best small businesses in the north, a monopoly with a warm fire and a good name. The Prancing Pony was never an inn that happened to sit on a road. It was a road that happened to grow an inn, and the man who owns it has spent his whole life thanking the beer.